Well, Canonites, we're here. Halo the series has come to its season finale, episode 9, so join me once more as we break down the Easter eggs, references, and lore of the episode. As always, I'll be comparing the series to the core canon of Halo, aka the games, books, and most other Halo media, and those comparisons should not be considered criticisms unless specified. With that, let's dive in. We'll start today with the episode title once more, Transcendence. The title refers to the Covenant's goals to activate the Halo array and achieve what they believe to be divine transcendence into godhood. Additionally, though, it refers to Dr. Halsey's desires for humanity, as stated in the episode.
That we will achieve transcendence.
Getting into the episode itself, it picks up where episode 8 left off, with White Tower a mess following the energies unleashed by the Madrigal artifact. After checking on Kai's status, a bloody chief makes his way to the room with the artifact, only to find the charred remains of an MP and a lightly injured Miranda. She informs Chief of Maquis' actions, and John tries to catch up to her. However, he's instead confronted by Vanek, who has an M6 pistol aimed at Kai's head and demands John's surrender. Instead, John and Kai try to convince Vanek and a now conscious Riz of the truth. Captain Keyes soon appears, confirming John's story, in front of his daughter no less, though it's ultimately John's appeal to his fellow Spartans, that they only have each other, that gets Riz and Vanek to stand down. Vanek then informs Chief that a Phantom is in Hangar Bay Delta 7, and while the rest of Silver Team go after Maquis, Kai elects to confront Halsey. On a quick side note, Delta 7 may be a Halo 2 reference. The second Halo ring found in the games was also known as Delta Halo, and of course Halo loves its 7 references. Fun fact for any unaware though, the Greek letter designations for the Halos, Alpha Halo, Delta Halo, so on, denote the firing order of the rings. So Installation 04, Alpha Halo fires first, followed by Installation 01, Beta Halo, and so on. Meanwhile, Maquis attempts to escape from Reach, holding an MP at gunpoint to find the Covenant Phantom brought to Reach during Episode 1. Speaking of the MPs, I was a little surprised they weren't equipped with M6 pistols of some make or the newer Mark 50 sidekick. Unfortunately, the Spartans are too late, and Maquis escapes. I love how Riz and Vanek outpace John as they're running into the hangar, again showing just how much Mjolnir can further enhance a Spartan. Outside, Marines stand ready to shoot down Halsey's ship if she does not disembark. Inside, Saley is getting the ship going while Halsey remains preoccupied with the artifact. As Halsey tries to leave the ship, Aiden says,
The package is secure. We still have options.
Which seems to refer to Halsey's clone revealed at the episode's end. The large package we saw Dr. Saley load in the previous episode was likely that clone. That said, a part of me wonders if Halsey may have been in there the entire time, and the Halsey that's been on screen since probably the boarding of the ship last episode was in fact the clone. Hell, maybe she's been a clone all along. I doubt that, but that would be kind of funny. Anyway, in the command center, Captain Keyes orders Maquis' Phantom tracked down. At the same time, they detect Halsey's ship coming online. Luckily, since defensive systems are otherwise still coming back online, Kai makes it to the tarmac in time to damage, then board Halsey's ship. Dr. Saley tries to keep the Spartan from reaching the bridge, but doors are no match for Spartan strength. Confronting the Doctor, Kai demands to know her real name, her real identity. Dr. Saley attempts to knock Kai out, though that only manages to piss her off. Saley then suffering the full consequences of an angry Spartan, let's say. The shock of her actions causes Kai to pause for a moment, giving Halsey the chance she needs to escape. Unknown at the time, she escapes with a clone of herself. Kai is left alone on the damaged and failing ship and ends up crashing with it. Naturally, she survives, we still have the rest of the episode after all, and while expected, seeing her pull herself out of the fire and smoke was pretty damn awesome. After the opening, we find John in Miranda's lab reviewing security footage. In the background, we can hear Cortana and Miranda conversing, during which Cortana mentions Halsey having a journal that's always with her. This journal, Dr. Halsey's journal, was first created as a bonus for the limited and legendary editions of Halo Reach. John has Cortana bring up the Aspero system, once more trying to find the world Maquis mentioned. Miranda, and especially Admiral Parangoski, are skeptical of Maquis being truthful, but both John and Cortana are confident that she was at least truthful about the planet. Remembering Maquis' prophecy,
The Halo is meant to be revealed where the stars sparkle like glass.
John has Cortana analyze the gravitational field of the system. Cortana reveals that it has several, created by a network of cosmic strings, a theoretical concept in modern physics, essentially hiding any planet in the system.
From our point of view, a planet would appear more like fragments.
Or shards of glass.
With this new intel, Parangoski prepares to send in 12 Marine battalions, but John insists that she just sends Silver Team. As we watch John suit up once more, this time in the Brock armor system, Parangoski tells him that John, so to speak, must be buried on the battlefield and that only the Chief can remain, setting up for later events in the episode. We also get a nice Halo theme sting during this scene. During all this, Parangoski also mentions that this operation would be the first human incursion into Covenant space. Spartans were able to infiltrate Covenant space as early as 2526 in core canon, though that wasn't exactly common throughout the war. The details on that mission are told in Halo Silent Storm. Later, as John is preparing Silver Team's Condor, Keyes informs him that Halsey's ship was pulsed down near Manassas, a city on Reach from core canon, and the two share some words over recent events. John simply notes that a reckoning will come eventually, but not today. Silver Team then shows up and the Spartans prepare to depart. As they do, Kai asks whether Riz and Vanek were actually going to shoot her, which they answer in the affirmative without hesitation. When the question is flipped on her though, Kai also confirms that she was prepared to shoot, but
I would just felt bad about it.
I love Spartan banter. As the Spartans take off, we get a wide shot of the nearby Reach city, full of Easter eggs. Starting from the left, we have Zedon Industries, the new company that originally operated the deuterium operation on Madrigal, and the company responsible for the rubble in the Silver timeline. Turbogen, the manufacturer of the Spade from Halo Reach. AMG Transport Dynamics way in the background, creators of the Warthog, among other things. Viren Telecom, another core canon company. Dasus, a company that's been mentioned a couple times in the series and also exists in core canon. Liang Dortmund appears twice, first over here and again on the right, both featuring versions of the company logo. Liang Dortmund featured prominently in Halo 5. Emerson Tactical Systems, manufacturers of the Mark 50 Sidekick and Gen 2 Void Dancer class Mjolnir, and Yaka Frutas once more. Additionally, there's a UNSC recruitment poster here with a silhouetted Spartan, and what looks to be a screenshot from one of the pre-release Halo 2 trailers. We next briefly cut to Dr. Halsey as she's captured. Other than the capture itself, her attempted escape mirrors that of Soren to a degree. Like Soren, she was trying to escape Reach and was shot down near a forest. I might be reading too much into that, but yeah. Cutting then to the Covenant's holy planet, we find Maquis as she arrives and delivers the Keystone. As she does, we see the show's take on honor guards, which I honestly love. Their armor is nice and colorful. I'd love to see that rich color applied to more Covenant armor, and evocative of the design from the games. The temple looks like it takes heavy inspiration from the Sanghelios levels in Halo 5. The outside is adorned with Forerunner glyphs, though I wasn't able to find any exact matches. Presenting herself before the Hierarchs, Regret, who is directly named in this episode, mentions that Maquis did not bring them the demon's head as promised, though Mercy is quick to dismiss this. As he proclaims that the Great Journey is near, Maquis asks if she'll still have a place on the path, and Mercy replies with an indirect answer. Later on, we find Mercy and Regret talking about their plans to simply use Maquis, then discard her, finally confirming what many suspected and hoped. Cutting over to Silver Team, as the rest of the Spartans are checking their gear, Cortana tells John about Halsey's plan to give her full control of his body and mind. Not just after he had been captured by the Spartans, but even before that. When asked why she didn't go along with it, Cortana explains that she has come to believe that what Halsey wishes to eliminate from humanity is exactly what makes humans, and John, special. At the start of the series, Miranda asked whether it was worth giving up humanity to avoid total annihilation, and now Cortana at the season's end gives us the answer. Credit where it's due, that's some solid thematic payoff. Suddenly, the stars disappear as the Condor approaches the intense gravitation of the Asperos system. The trip is rough, as passing through gravity fields tends to be, the ship even warping due to the intense gravitation. They manage to get through it, however, thanks in part to some aid from Cortana, and in part due to John's connection to the artifacts. Meanwhile on Reach, Miranda meets with Halsey and the two talk, revealing that Halsey has been ordered Article 72'd. In a callback to Episode 1, Miranda says,
Wanted you to hear it from me.
I wanted you to hear it from me.
After the conversation, we learn Jacob Keyes had been listening in, perhaps in part because Miranda isn't talking to him now. Back in the Aspero system, Silver Team prepares to drop. We learn that the planet doesn't have any defenses, likely because it's so hard to find and get to. Once ready though, the Spartans, like in episode 1, drop from the Condor straight into battle. Chief even seems to drop straight onto a grunt's head. I love it. Inside the temple, Maquis, now in more ornate Covenant attire, approaches the High Prophets and artifacts. Maquis' cloak is now adorned with a Forerunner glyph, which seems to be a permutation of the Guardian glyph introduced in Halo 5. Maquis is a sort of Guardian, so that seems appropriate. While Mercy talks about the fulfillment of the Great Journey and all that, an honor guard unites the two keystones. Both John and Maquis are hit by a sensation when the artifacts unite. The Spartans are soon spotted and the final battle for the season begins. Mercy orders their zealots, which largely look like elite miners, to enter battle, and as we learn from Cortana a moment later, there are hundreds, all of which seem to have been hidden away in the mountain the temple sits on. Brute chieftains are also dropped in, wielding gravity hammers and Type 25 spike rifles, or spikers. As John engages the brutes, Silver Team begin fighting off the charging elites. During the battle, Vanek uses a needler, allowing us to see the needles actually track their targets, which was kinda cool. Soon, however, Atriox joins the battle, and Riz moves to engage. However, Atriox proves a formidable opponent. After dealing with the chieftains, John moves to engage Atriox, though he doesn't fare much better. Atriox downs John and begins crushing the Spartan's helmet with his gravity hammer, which seems to be a layered reference. First, it ultimately results in a cracked visor similar to what we saw in Halo 5, but it also echoes the first meeting with Atriox, where he crushed Douglas 042's helmet with one hand, though I do believe a mechanically enhanced hand. Still, quite impressive. Maquis then goes for the artifact, touching it and incapacitating John as the two find themselves on Halo once more. Luckily, it also sends out a wave of force, like on Reach, knocking Atriox off John and sending dozens of Sangheili flying off the mountain. Kinda reminds me of the Vaki being blown away in Bionicle 2 Legends of Metro Nui. Inside the temple, the artifact shoots a skybeam that begins forming a map to Halo. Just above the artifact, we can see the Halo itself in hologram form. With Sangheili closing in and Vanek and Riz down, Kai does the only thing she can do and kills Maquis. This snaps John back to reality and stops the completion of the star chart, meaning the Covenant can't find Halo just yet. Still, Covenant forces continue to close in, and Riz suddenly gets stuck by a plasma grenade. Kai tries to help, but both Spartans are hit by the explosion, and Riz is left with a particularly nasty wound. With no other choice, John surrenders control of his body to Cortana. Like Parangoski said, John cannot exist on the battlefield, only the Master Chief. In his final act before surrendering, John manages to graze Atriox on his upper left lip, which will result in the scar he carries in Core Canon. For the record though, Core Canon Atriox had that scar for years before 2552, and we currently don't know how he got it, let alone if it's a scar from the Chief himself. Taking one last hit from Atriox, John surrenders himself to Cortana, saying he trusts her, and Cortana takes over. John dies, and the Master Chief rises. Interestingly, this kind of reflects how the Covenant viewed demons, Spartans, in Core Canon, at least in part. According to Halo Glasslands, some among the Covenant believed that Spartans killed in action were resurrected, repaired, and redeployed. Truly, demons. Now controlling the Spartan, Cortana makes easy work of the Covenant with help from the Spartan's Condor, which only makes me wonder why the hell didn't Cortana use this earlier? I couldn't find any dialogue that explains this, so the Condor's presence became more of a distraction than the awesome moment it's meant to be. Anyway, Cortana brings the Condor down, providing cover for the Spartans to escape with both artifacts. In the Condor, Chief/Cortana cauterizes Riz's wounds. I'm a little confused why they didn't use biofoam here, a medical foam meant for stuff like this, before taking direct control of the Condor. Near the city of Manassas on Reach, a free Dr. Halsey writes in her journal. Nearby we can spot signs for attractions that are part of the Reach heritage site of Manassas, all new to the lore, of course. I feel like the temple ruins mentioned here though might be a reference to the various Forerunner ruins beneath Reach. As she finishes her journal entry, a man approaches Halsey, stating he's to take her to, presumably, Manassas' space elevator, where a ship is waiting for Halsey. At Reach Command, we find that Halsey has successfully evaded the UNSC for now, having been lost over Manassas airspace. As the episode comes to a close, Kai joins the Chief in the Condor's cockpit and tries to talk to him. The Chief merely gives her a glance, not unlike his first meeting with Quan Ha. leaving us to wonder whether John as we got to know him will ever be back. And that concludes this breakdown and this season of the Halo TV series. The finale was a mixed bag for me personally. The action was fun for the most part, but as I noted, the Condor showing up like a Deus Ex Machina towards the end of the battle kind of undercuts everything prior, at least for me. Additionally, the episode was again on the shorter side and kind of felt like it was rushing to get to the end at times, while dragging its feet at others. This isn't a review or critique, so I won't get into much more detail for now. Suffice it to say, I think Season 1, despite its issues, leaves the characters and universe in a very interesting spot, one that could be capitalized on significantly. I'm currently planning a critique video for the TV series, going over what I felt worked and where I felt the show could improve for the future. With luck, the criticisms of Season 1 can be a tool for growth and improvement in Season 2. And if that comes to pass, the Halo TV series, I think, will truly flourish. Of course, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. This has been Halo Canon. Thank you again for joining me as we broke down the Halo TV series, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you once again for watching Canonites. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, maybe even share it around, both of which help the channel. And if you aren't subscribed already, consider becoming a fellow Canonite and hitting that notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Halo Canon now has a Discord server, which you can find linked in the description box below. If you like discussing any aspect of Halo's lore, well, that's what we specialize in. Thank you all once more, and keep on being awesome.